Joining us here at 6, I'm Justin Benny.
And I'm Stacey Van Dyke. Should the city of Fargo adopt a resolution regarding the conflict between Israel and Hamas? And does the Fargo Police Department have an issue with racial profiling?
Those were the two big social questions posed during today's Fargo Human Rights Commission meeting. Valley News Team's Gabriel Osler was there to see how this discussion played out.
I just want to make sure that you all know that we see you too, and I'm tearing up a little bit.
The Human Rights Commission has hit something of a snag as of late.
It's unfortunate that we weren't able to get our resolution actually passed.
But they were grateful to receive vocal support.
It's nice to hear from the community that they do still acknowledge that we are trying to help them out.
And today's meeting was full of lively discussion on provocative topics. First on the agenda was the source of the aforementioned frustration, the rejected resolution calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. Commission Chair Cody Severson says they're not giving up and they are headed back to the drawing board.
Our goal over the next couple of months is to work through that, and update the language with something that would pass and then eventually send it back up, yes.
Then the discussion shifted to the topic of police profiling. This is in light of recently released body cam footage regarding a wrongful arrest during a traffic stop in January.
There are different things culturally that if we have people out there in the police force, they need to know the difference when it comes to descriptions.
And the guilty plea, just yesterday, of community activist Wes Filame for criminal mischief.
Not only did they put it in the news and publicly embarrass him, but they had also gave him the option to plead guilty with a $400 fine or 40 hours of community service.
The commission wants to work with the police department to procure more statistics regarding race and arrests. Until then,
just know that you do have support from our commission, and we'll keep pushing forward.
In Fargo, Gabriel Osler, Valley News Live.
If you want your voice to be heard on these topics, they will be the subject of ongoing discussion with the commission.
The next public meeting will be on Thursday, May 16th.